Hello everybody, this is Jeff. You're watching Untitled Entertainment, and today's video is about The Batman, non-spoiler. So this video is going to consist of my opinion, Carson's opinion, and Alan's opinion. We're going to give you kind of overview of what we thought about the film. I've seen it twice myself, and I think the other two only seen it once. I'm sure they're going to see it again, but this is like our first, like a kind of initial thoughts. You know, had some time to actually let it sink in a little bit. And you know, we're going to tell you how we feel. So The Batman was directed by Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne / Batman, Zoe Kravitz as Selina Kyle as Catwoman, Paul Dano's playing the Riddler. I forgot his name in the movie. It's not Edward Enigma, but it's another name. Also, Jeffrey Wright is playing Jim Gordon. John Turturro is playing Falcone, and Colin Farrow is playing Oswald, the Penguin. So our first reviewer is going to be Carson, and then it's going to be Alan, and then me. So Carson, you're first. Go ahead.
Hey, it's your boy Carson Silver here from Greenlight Entertainment. Want to talk about that Batman that just came out. Non-spoiler review. Just want to talk about some of the key points, some of the things that I found good, or some of the things I didn't like about the movie. First, this is a movie unlike nothing else we've seen before. This isn't your Tim Burton Batman. This isn't Joe Schumacher. This isn't Christopher Nolan. This is a brand new take on the Batman. It's filmed different. The pacing is different. Everything we see is a character in the movie. Everything from the bat signal to just like subtle little sounds, shadows in the movie. The Batmobile is a character in this movie. So if you think you're gonna get your Christopher Nolan Batman, you're not. This is completely different. This is a young Batman who is a detective. You get to see the detective side of Batman. He's going around figuring out different things that the Riddler is giving to him. He is the quintessential detective that we've never gotten in any other Batman film. So for that, I appreciate it. There are a few things that character things that I don't like in the movie, but we'll get into that a little bit more when we do a full spoiler review in regards to the movie. But on a whole, this movie is great. You need to see it. When you go into the movie, don't have any expectations. Just enjoy the ride that he's putting you on. I think Matt Reeves made a couple choices in the movie, which I think are going to pay off later. Seeing online that people are having some issues with some of the choices he's made as far as with Bruce. I think we're going to see some of that payoff in later films. If you remember his Planet of the Apes films, they got better to me personally as the saga continued. This movie is about Batman trying to balance his vengeance along with figuring out along the way that he needs to be more than just vengeance. Right now, this is a Batman who is only about one thing. He doesn't care about Bruce. He doesn't really care about himself all that much. He cares about being this vengeful character and taking criminals off the street. That's it. There is nothing else for him. He's not going out with different girls in Gotham or being a playboy. That's not what this Batman's about, at least not right now. Later on down the line, we might get some of that, but right now he is focused. He is driven on being the Bat, and that is it. So if you've seen the movie, comment down below what you think about it. Again, this is Greenlight Media. We'll be back soon with a full spoiler breakdown of the movie. Just want to give my 2 cents in regards to this movie as of right now. Thank you again. Please tune back. Again, my name's Carson. Peace out.
Hello everybody, this is Alan with Greenlight Entertainment. Just wanted to post a video with my spoiler-free review of The Batman. I would say I am a fan of the genre more than a DC fan or a Marvel fan or just a fan of any particular character. So of the entire comic book universe, I'm a fan. And as a fan of the genre, I typically try not to bring too many expectations into a film or a series, something brand new, because I kind of want to just enjoy it for what it is. I've seen a lot of videos that people have posted about the movie. I like the film as a standalone Batman film. I understand some people's, extra love for the movie. I understand some people's extra, dislike. The only thing I would say, if you dislike it that much, what did you expect it to be? The source material was followed pretty much to a T. The things that Matt Reeves did in the movie, he did based on the source material. So if the comics that he used as a basis, then you would understand, okay, Batman Year One, Batman Long Halloween, he's pulling most of the material from that. You're getting a much younger Batman. You're getting a much less inexperienced Batman. He's in his second year. There's some stuff he knows, some stuff he doesn't know. As a film, I like it because it reminds me that you can make a movie based on a character like this that isn't necessarily following any norms that we've already seen out there. He's not trying to be Christopher Nolan's movies, even though there's elements of Christopher Nolan's movies in it. This is more of a psychological thriller. If you liked Seven, if you liked Saw, if you liked, movies where, it kind of challenges you, makes you think, you're trying to solve it. This movie makes me feel like I'm trying to solve what's going on right there with Batman. There's elements of it that I really liked. Visually, I thought it was amazing. I thought he shot the film, Matt Reeves shot the film wonderfully. I liked the way it looked. Gotham looked dreary. If you've seen anything of Gotham, it's a gloomy looking place. Whereas Metropolis is the opposite. Usually Metropolis always looks beautiful and bright and sunny. Central City always looks beautiful, bright and sunny. Gotham is always looking doom and gloom, always rainy. And, Matt Reeves gave us that. I loved the score. That Batman music, when it hits, it gets you pumped up. And then there's some sound effects. And, not to spoil anything for anybody, but there is one scene when a particular vehicle makes an appearance for the first time. And the entire theater was ready. I mean, the sound alone got you fully immersed into that moment. There's some movie elements about this movie. And, and I'll just speak to the stuff that was in the trailers because most people have seen the trailers, so I'm not going to be spoiling anything. That chase scene in the trailer between, Batman and Penguin, and can I tell you, Colin Farrow's Penguin was amazing. That chase scene was great. One of the better chase scenes I've seen in a Batman movie. And I think it's because Matt Reeves decided to go for a level of realism with certain aspects of this movie that, I think have been missed in other movies, which, I thought was nice. But it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. The movie's very dark. The movie's very, very violent. It's probably the most violent PG-13 movie I've seen. There's elements like Paul Dano's Riddler. Whew. There's some stuff he does in the movie, and you're like, how is this PG-13? Zoe Kravitz, Catwoman, she did a great job. If you're familiar with the love story between Catwoman and Batman, and their, after hours antics as far as what they do on the street level in Gotham. When they work together, they're an awesome team. But there's always that like sexual chemistry, sexual tension between them. And I think Matt Reeves did a great job. I think Zoe did a great job with bringing that to the screen in a way we haven't seen since, Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Keaton. Individual performances, there were some great ones. I think Andy Serkis as Alfred, amazing job. Amazing job. Commissioner Gordon, I can't think of the actors. Oh, Jeffrey Wright. I mean, that was one of the best Commissioner Gordons we've had. So there's been some really great performances. Now, as far as Pattinson goes, I am always one who will tell you, somebody nailed it on this, maybe missed it on something else. I think he completely nails an inexperienced year 2 Batman. I think he falls flat on the Bruce, but only because Bruce is the face that Batman puts on when he goes out in public. And I feel like every other iteration we've seen of Bruce, the actor has tried to give us two sides. This is the first movie where I don't feel like I'm getting enough of that, where you're one way when you're Bruce, you're another way when you're Batman. And maybe that's just because, Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson decided, he still has to learn how to be Bruce too. He's still figuring out Batman and he's still figuring out Bruce. Maybe that's the case. It just wasn't my favorite. Maybe that was the, creative direction that they took with it. That wasn't my favorite. And the only thing that I would say that I really didn't necessarily like was probably certain elements at the end. There were, 2 or 3 things at the end that I just felt were kind of, out of place. Maybe, another director might have did it a little bit differently and it probably would have landed better. But for most part, I liked it. If I had to rate it out of 5 stars, I'd give it a solid 4. I wouldn't say it was a perfect movie, but I think it was a really great Batman movie, especially from the fact that it pulled from the source material, especially the performances that, were given in this. The score was excellent. The visuals were excellent. And I think it did a good job with setting us up with enough to feed on until the next movie comes out. I do believe this is going to be a trilogy, and I think a lot of groundwork was laid for that, and I'm looking forward to seeing, what the next step is with this. So, let me know what you think. Comment, like, subscribe. Greenlight Entertainment. My name is Alan. See you later on the next time.
All right, now it's time for my review. So when the Batman was originally announced, I wasn't too sure what to think of. I mean, we just had Ben Affleck being in other Snyder movies, and just wasn't sure exactly what route or what direction Warner Brothers was going. And I was kind of concerned because I just didn't understand the purpose of having a new Batman movie. And then to find out that this film was actually not going to be in DCEU, I was kind of concerned of what we were doing. But when we start finding out who was directing the film and who's playing the characters, I felt more confident about the movie, even though it's not within the DCEU. I actually thought it was a good thing that they actually had like a kind of created like this standalone universe where it's basically there's no connection at all with the DCU. I think that's great because it actually gives the director to create his own story, and you don't have to worry about the studios interfering, saying, hey, you can't put this person in a film, or you can't do that because we're setting this movie up here and we don't want to introduce that person in this movie, you know. With that, you know, Matt Reeves had the creativity, and he could have done anything he wanted to do with this movie without interference. So to me, I thought that was actually a good idea, and to give us a kind of like a refresh and a reboot, and see exactly what the Warner Brothers are going to do with the DCU, but also still give us our Batman films. So I was doing like some research and trying to figure out exactly what this movie is going to be and what it's going to be based on, and seeing where Matt Reeves was basically trying to pull the information from, pull some ideas from. It got me excited because it was based on about 3 comic books that I actually adore, love reading, and that's Batman Year One, The Long Halloween, and Batman Ego. And he did kind of sprinkle a little bit of Batman Zero in there too, the recent one from Scott Snyder. So reading all those comics and seeing that he was actually going to bring all that into this film and adding like a Seven or a Zodiac Killer type of way into this movie, making it like a real detective film. So my first initial thoughts of this film is, one, I actually enjoyed this film a lot. And the reason why I did is because this is actually the first complete Batman movie we ever got. Most of the movie is all Batman. We don't really see a lot of Bruce Wayne at all. And I actually like that a lot because we actually get to see Batman actually being a true detective. Something that we've never really seen in any other Batman film. I mean, before, they were like hint to it, or you might get kind of, you know, some kind of idea that he is detecting, trying to figure out what's going on. But this movie, he's actually on the grounds, on foot, at the scene, breaking down the case, and not back in the Batcave. On his back computer getting help. So I actually like that Matt Reeves brought like a noir feel to the film, which shows Batman actually being the great detective, or becoming the greatest detective in comics. So I actually appreciate that a lot. And I know a lot of people are going to probably complain, and you know, some folks who are just wanting a certain type of thing when it comes to the Bruce Wayne aspect to it, and I understand. But I think for the folks that actually read, you know, Year One and Year Zero, and you know, Batman Ego as well, you understand that why Matt Reeves went for that take of Bruce Wayne, because you got to think about it. If a guy who has this kind of trauma and he wants to do what he can do to make sure that other people don't feel what he felt the night that his parents died, he's going to be all in, 100%. He's not going to think about, like, he's not going to be trying to make like a conscious effort to try to go out there and be like the face of the Waynes, you know, go to charity events, date supermodels, you know, run Wayne Enterprises. That's not what Matt Reeves was going for. Or, be honestly, that type of person won't be thinking about doing that anyway, because they so consumed of being this person, being this vigilante to go out and stop crime, that they're not going to think about the other side of, hey, maybe I should go out there and you know, get involved with the community. Maybe I should go date, you know, supermodels and drive my expensive cars. A person in that state of mind is not going to think that. They're not going to think like, hey, I need to make sure that people don't understand that I'm Bruce Wayne and Batman. They're not thinking about that. They're thinking about, I want to be this person, so I'll make sure that you know, crime is stopped. And I think that could be something that people may not like, because they love seeing the Playboy aspects. But I actually love the fact that he didn't want to be Bruce Wayne at all. The fact that guy was actually going to a funeral, and you can see it's in the trailer. We all know it's a funeral in this movie. I'm not gonna say who it was, but it was a funeral, and he's actually going to this funeral as Bruce Wayne to find more evidence to crack the case. That tells you right there that he does not care about being Bruce Wayne, and I think that's the mindset that I think Matt Reeves got right in understanding Year One, understanding Year Zero. That Bruce Wayne at that time, he didn't care about being Bruce Wayne at all. I love the fact that this Batman was writing a diary every night, just breaking down exactly what happened, what cases that he worked on, It's basically like his Gotham like Chronicles. I think that was kind of cool to see that as someone that is so consumed to be a detective and figure out crime and stop crime that he's writing a journal so he can go back and say, hey, basically reference this, reference that, to help him out maybe for a case down the line, or maybe he's writing it just to put his thoughts down on a piece of paper. I think that was amazing that Matt Reeves put that in the film, showing that he is truly consumed of being Batman. He does not care about being Bruce Wayne, and he wants to be the best Batman he can be at that at this particular time. And another thing too, like I said before, like some plots of this movie is basically ripped out of Long Halloween, Year One, Year Zero, Ego, with a little dash of a 7, and it was a certain scene in the movie at the funeral. It was just basically he just ripped out a couple of pages from the Long Halloween and just put it in his movie, and I had nothing but smiles because I was like, like I said, like Long Halloween is my favorite Batman story. So actually seeing like some parts of that story put in this film and done correctly and done great, it really made me very happy to actually see those scenes like actually come to life. As far as Selena Kyle, who was played by Zoe Kravitz, I thought she was absolutely amazing. She's not Catwoman yet, just like kind of like the beginning of her journey. So by the end of the movie, I guess she is Catwoman, but her chemistry with Robert Pattinson, I felt, was really good. I think that the chemistry between them two made you want more of them two, and it shows you that they had kind of like this chemistry between the two, and to a point where you're like, I kind of don't want them to like go away from the story, but if they do in a second film, that's okay. But I would really hope that they revisit this relationship and hopefully continue it into something that maybe you don't have to follow the comics like what happened recently in the recent run, but this to show that they're the relationship is getting stronger and they actually love each other. So I think that was amazing to see their chemistry between the two and them helping each other out throughout this movie. Now the Riddler, who was played by Paul Dano, I can actually say this was fantastic. I absolutely love this Riddler, and the reason why I say that because it was something that we never got from this character before. Like they hinted at sometimes in his last run with Riddler that he can be psychotic, but not to the level that what they did in this movie. Like they basically took the Zodiac Killer and some aspects of Seven and put it in this film, and that was basically Riddler. And so there's some parts of this scene, like he's not even saying anything, he's just looking at someone, and it's terrifying. And I felt like that was done perfectly, because it showed you that even though this person may not go toe to toe with Batman, but the fact that he is smart enough to put people in certain traps, that he has this psychotic, like he's a psychotic person, and he does not care who he goes after. Like when you have a villain who feels like he's the good guy, and he does not care what happens to anyone that he's going to do something to, that's a terrifying villain. And Paul Dano absolutely crushed it. Now, Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon, I can say that he played Jimbo really well. It's kind of hard. I don't want to rank them. I can't rank them, all the Jim Gordons that we had. But he's definitely top 2, maybe top 3. I don't know, but I love the chemistry between him and Robert Pattinson in this movie. Like they were actually a great buddy cop film. Like the little quirms and little jokes between them on certain things while they're trying to crack down a case or figure out pieces to the puzzle. It was great. It was great actually seeing these two. Like I said, Batman is on the ground. He's in the streets, and Jim's with them. And it's just great to see them two actually like working together and figuring out the cases and just trying to figure out, you know, how to take down the Riddler. I actually really loved it. John Turturro playing Falcone. Wasn't a lot of him in this film, but he plays a very important part in this film. Like I said, for a couple other previous characters, basically ripped out of the Long Halloween. Not gonna give you any spoilers, but just say that his purpose in the film was very important, and I felt like John Turturro playing fantastic, and it's great to see him actually play drama. I know he played like villains back in the day. I forgot which movies it was, but we got so used to seeing him playing comedies that we forgot how great a drama actor he is. So I was very happy to see him play this part, and definitely like to see him play more parts like this further, you know, in the future. And like I said before, he did a fantastic job, and I'm very happy that how he played Falcone. And finally, Colin Farrow playing Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, but don't call him that. He doesn't like that at all. But I can tell you, I was always interested to see how they were gonna do him as the Penguin, because you always get like the traditional heavy set, you know, top hat, cigar or cigarette in his mouth kind of Penguin. And then we got the penguin from the Gotham series, and it was like a slimmer type Penguin. So I was really interested to see what they were going to do with him. And once we got the first trailer and they showed him, I didn't recognize it was him. I didn't know it was Penguin until they came out and said it was Penguin. And you really don't hear Colin Farrow that much in his scenes. You know it's him. You just can't believe it's him. And like I said before, you might have heard Colin kind of peek out there maybe once or twice, but honestly, if no one told you he was Colin Farrow, you would not know he's Colin Farrow at all. And I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with this HBO Max show of the Penguin, and actually showing him rising to the top, and they kind of compare it to like the Scarface story. So I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with Penguin. Kind of wish we got a little bit more, but you know, side characters, sometimes you don't get enough. But you know, he definitely left a lasting impression on me, and definitely really excited to see this upcoming Penguin movie. There's one thing that other Batman films haven't really done as much as to, that I was so happy that what they did here was making Batman the smartest person in the room. There were scenes in this movie where the police and Batman was there. They were trying to break down what was going on, trying to figure out exactly, you know, how the murder happened, you know, the pieces to the puzzle, stuff like that. And everybody's trying to figure out what is it? And Batman just spitting out answers like it's nothing. Like yeah, come on, like you should know this. It's just easy. And I actually like the fact that they made Batman the person who can actually do things on his own, with the help of Alfred, of course, but just made him look like he is the true greatest detective that he is. And I absolutely loved it, because we've been waiting for that for so long. So I'm just thrilled that actually Matt Reeves has done that and made Batman the smartest person in the room. He developed his own suit, his gadgets, the car. He souped up the car. Oh my gosh, the car is fantastic. How can I forget about talking about the car? There's a scene in this movie that is a perfect lead up to a monster in a movie, and it's the car. Just the way they shot that scene, and you've seen the scene in the movie when Batman is chasing Penguin through in the streets, but the beginning of that scene, the lead up to what we see in the trailers. I've never seen an introduction for a vehicle or anything like that was scary, and you were basically worried about everybody who was in that space at that time, because you don't know what's going to happen. Like, that's how scary this car was in this film, that they made into like a horror film for that scene. And that's kind of like another element that they did in this movie too. There was some scenes in this movie gave like horror elements, and you know, like we're quick with the music, and that's why Michael Giacchino's music was so perfect at times because you actually felt it. You like, oh my gosh, this is becoming a scary movie. How is this a PG-13 film? It can't be, but it was. And like just the things that they did. But the car introduction is a perfect example of how you use music, you use certain shots, certain lighting, and you position a certain scene in a certain way to build so much drama, you build so much anxiety, or you're worried what's going to happen. That scene with the vehicle was just so good because it had so many elements that a horror film will have, and they did it absolutely perfect, and you really were shaking your boots in this film. Like if you were in an AMC Prime theater or IMAX theater, you heard and felt that car when it was revving up, and that scene was actually the best scenes that I seen. How to introduce something that you want to introduce fear into people's eyes. That's the perfect scene. That car. So my final thoughts is basically, definitely go see this movie. And I recommend see this movie a couple of times because when I saw it the second time, I've seen it twice already. And I want to thank Warner Brothers for letting people see the movies early on March 1st. That was fantastic for them. And that basically showed everybody how confident they were in this film. But I recommend everybody go see this movie more than once. And the reason why I say that, because the first time you watch it, you're just into it and you're trying to figure out what's going on and the clues and stuff like that. But a second viewing, like certain shots of this film was done on purpose. So if you see something that they're focusing on, there's a reason why they focus on it, because it probably will come back to that. So I would say go see this film a couple times, and then like I'm telling you right now, your experience of watching the film multiple times and then you picking up stuff, I'm sure when I go see it again for a third time, I'm going to start seeing other clues that I even think about looking for. The second time I was viewing this film, now I want to go back because I want to pick those clues out too. But that's the type of film it is. It's definitely a repeat view, and it's definitely one of the best Batman's movies that I ever seen. Definitely top 3. And my ranking was always, The Dark Knight number 1, Batman '89 number 2, and Batman Begins. And I can honestly say now that this is number 2 on the list, and it's going to knock down Batman '89 to 3, and Batman Begins, I'm sorry, but you're out of top 3. But all I can say is, if Matt Reeves could do this on the first film, imagine what he's going to do for the next 2 films. That's all I gotta say. Well, thank you for watching Greenlight Total Entertainment. My name is Jeff, and also thank you for watching Carson and Alan's review as well. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned to our next videos. We will be doing a spoiler review as well for the Batman, and also other reviews that we're gonna do for other shows and movies as well. So thank you again. Take care.